was thinking about another thing. You know, I really don't think a candidate or a politician who is a pathological liar does qualify for public office. I'm thinking about this. A candidate in Delaware who lies time and time and time again about their education, among other things, who plagiarizes repeatedly. I don't think that candidate or politician is qualified for public office. And of course, I'm talking about Joe Biden. Now, that Senate seat that Christine O'Donnell is running for is Joe Biden's old seat. I've seen the loathsome columnists in the newspapers in Delaware attacking O'Donnell's reputation. I thought to myself, gee, they tolerated Plugs Biden, the dumbest man in the Senate, and now the dumbest man to be vice president, for almost 4 decades. They've always supported him. They've always loved him, despite his pathologies, which are pronounced. So I decided to do a little Joe Biden, This Is Your Life in public office to remind everybody how unqualified he was, and if Christine O'Donnell wins, what a much more improved character, background, and so forth she will have than Biden has ever had. Now here we have a little clip. Biden in 1988. He was asked by a reporter about his academic record. Here it goes. Cut one, go.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly... I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
This is stunning. I want to alert John McCormick at the Weekly Standard. He may want to look into this. This is absolutely stunning. Now, as noted, drknow.newsvine.com, Biden did not get 3 degrees. He did not get 2 degrees. It was 1 degree in political science, and he never answered where he went. He received a half scholarship to law school based on need. And when confronted with this, he said he never remembered paying anything for law school. One can only speculate why that is. His math abilities are not very good. The top 2/3 overlaps with the top 1/2. In addition, he lied. He was 76th in a class of 85. That places him in the bottom 10.5% of his law school class. And even though we know, he never stated where he attended law school in the answer to the question. Wow. Gee, he's not qualified to be vice president. He's not qualified to be a senator. He's not qualified to be a dog catcher, is he? Hey, boys at Powerline, you paying attention? You really should be. And there's more for this Biden seat that is so important that we have this seat, but that our candidate is not qualified, according to Karl Rove, because of her character. I don't think she's ever had a DUI either. Let's see, shall we? Here is Biden, cut 3, Mr. Producer. Biden in September 1987. A report on him plagiarizing Neil Kinnock's speech from May 1987, Kinnock being the Labor Party candidate for Prime Minister. Cut 3, go.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university? Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
People in Britain would have been familiar with those words. They heard the same ones in a political commercial from Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Why am I the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university? Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations?
Biden saw the Kinnock commercial and evidently loved it.
Was it because they were weak? Those people who could work 8 hours underground and then come up and play football? Weak?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football for 4 hours?
Biden had told other audiences he admired Kinnock, not this one. This one, he later said, he had listening in hushed silence.
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent, or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
That didn't disqualify him from the Senate for some reason. Not a character issue? Then, cut 4, let's get together, Mr. Producer. Biden, September 2008. Listen to this one. And I play these to show you, well, to ask you, is he deranged? Is he mentally healthy? Is he an idiot? We need to know these things because so much is at stake. Cut 4, go.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television and didn't just talk about the princes of greed. He said, look, here's what happened.
Continue. Here's the point. The stock market crashed in 1929. FDR wasn't the president. Herbert Hoover was. If FDR had been president in 1929 and wanted to make a public statement on the state of the economy, it likely wouldn't have aired on television because no one had a television. The TV was introduced to the public at the 1939 World's Fair in New York, almost 10 years after the crash. Character issue, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, because this is the Biden state in Delaware, and all those opinion writers for the liberal newspapers in Delaware, they think he's terrific, but they think Christine O'Donnell's not. He's a genius. She's got problems. You awake over there at the Weekly Standard? Just follow me. I know I'm moving quickly, but you'll do it. Now, Biden, August 2008 in Pennsylvania. Cut 2. Go.
But I want you to know the reason I left and went to Delaware. It was real simple. I lived in a place called Greenridge in Scranton, Pennsylvania, North Washington Avenue, and 7 blocks away, there was a family called the Caseys. And there was a guy named Bob Casey, and then there was Bobby Casey. Bob Casey was 12 years older than me, and Bobby Casey was 12 years younger than me. And I knew somebody famous was going to come out of Scranton, and I sure in hell knew it wasn't going to be me. So I left.
Now, Biden left Pennsylvania when he was 10 years old, but remembers Bobby Casey at the age of -2. This makes things up. But he's just a grand, experienced, thoughtful, wise guy. But that Christine O'Donnell, she is not fit for that Biden seat. No way. Shall we continue? Here's Biden, January 2007, commenting on Barack Obama. And I imagine if Christine O'Donnell said this, she'd be finished. Cut 5, go.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
Yeah. It really is. We all know conservatives and Tea Party activists are racist. Liberals can't be. But they can be morons, right? But not Biden. This is the Biden seat. This is different than any other seat in the Senate. You really have to be smart. You really have to be special. You really have to not be Biden, I guess. Now, here's Biden, September 10th, 2008 in Missouri. The famous wheelchair matter. Cut 6, go.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
And sit down for Joe. Oh, but how about this one? I can imagine if Christine O'Donnell said this, it'd be all over the conservative websites. Cut 8, go.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
No, he's not joking. He's an idiot, but he's not joking. One more. Here's Biden in Ohio, and I've got a ton of them. October 15, 2008, with his 3-letter word. Cut 9, go.
Look, John's last-minute economic plan does nothing to tackle the number one job facing the middle class, and it happens to be, as Barack says, a 3-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S, jobs.
Let me tell you, Christine O'Donnell gets elected to that seat. You folks in Delaware, you'll have a more articulate, intelligent, coherent, mentally healthy senator than you had for over 30 years. I promise you.